Hey, Brittany. Okay, y'all. So we're just gonna hop right on and start this week's sips. All right. So as always, I am your host, Nancy Ngwa, and welcome to Sips and Conversations Live. All right. So today it's been a long day, so I'm just sipping on my crisp, sparkling water with some lemon. Okay, or lime, not even lemon. So cheers to y'all. We have made it. It is almost Friday. And yeah, so today I'm going to be joined by a super special guest, okay? Dayvee Sutton. She is a world traveler. She is a travel expert and TV correspondent dealing with all things travel. So I'm like super duper excited. And she's recently launched a program to teach you how to turn your passion into an expert, okay, and be a TV correspondent just like her. So help me welcome on Dayvee into this week's chat, y'all.
Hi.
Hey! Hi, Davy. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me join you.
Yeah.
I love sips and conversation. I'm doing water too because I've been out all day working, and so we're just gonna hydrate, right? We're gonna hydrate, get
Yes.
that glowing skin. Cheers
Right.
to that.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers to drinking water and minding our business, right?
Right.
Okay, Davy. So before we get into the conversation, because today's all about you,
Oh,
okay? It is all about you. It is National Davy Day. So before we get into it, go ahead and just give a quick little, intro. Give us your elevator speech. Who are you? What are you all about? I did a brief intro, but
I
just.
heard you did the intro. Yeah, so simply put, I am a journalist because I just love telling stories, and I made my career out of telling stories, and I actually started off working in sports for many years, and then I hosted a lifestyle and entertainment show and made a career pivot, and now I cover travel experiences, local cultures, and the environment. And yes, I work on national television shows, and I also host a couple of shows. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I have an entrepreneurial approach to my journalism. So I left working for people and created a space where, as an independent journalist, I have a production company. So we
Wow.
create content and TV shows and programs and feed them back to networks. And we also work with brands. And yes, we just launched a new academy, a Be On Air Academy, where we are going to kind of teach people to do some of this stuff, especially entrepreneurs and business owners, and even, brands and people who are brands, because it's just a marketing strategy that you can add to the list of things that you do. And so one of the things that's in my inbox almost every day is like, wait a minute, like, how can I do that too? And so we're just gonna show that, because I still work in TV, and it's interesting because there's like a wall, a barrier, and
Yeah.
the conversation that happens every day inside the newsroom is like, what are we going to put on TV? That's basically what the meetings are for. And
Oh,
there
wow.
is a
Okay.
need for people, and a range of people. Like, you just need to have a niche at something, but it can be your hobby. Like when I co-hosted a lifestyle show, we had booked magicians, we booked therapists, we booked, like, think about what could be on TV, right? And if you have a
Yeah.
hobby or a skill set, that could be something. I think a lot of times there's a lot of kind of myths and fallacies, and people may not even consider that they can do it themselves, or
Yeah.
it's for somebody else, or it might
Yeah.
not be a strategy. So that's just kind of like what we're just going around giving talks, me and some producers that are my friends, and we're just kind of
Yeah.
saying, like, there is a way. Now, it is not easy to do,
Yeah.
but they do need you, basically, and they
Yeah.
just have to trust you. And then once they trust you, they're busy like everybody else is busy with their job, and so you
Yeah.
can make them their job easier by, like, okay, great, we know Nancy's coming on today, she's got it, like, check her off the list,
Yeah.
like, come every once a month on Tuesday, you know what I
Wow.
mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. So super duper neat. And I think that's just so cool when I heard like what you do. And of course, I IG stalked because I mean, what like I have to IG stalk you. So, and I've seen some of the kind of cool things. I kind of want to jump into. You said just how you got started, right? What even got you on this path of being a journalist and a reporter? To kind of take us back a little bit, maybe to to the younger Dayvee,
Well,
like
no,
because
it's interesting that you said the younger Dayvee, because I, took a journey. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I always say that growing up in Los Angeles, there's a lot of fogginess in what it takes to be successful, and the path seems very narrow versus
Mhm.
where most of my adult life I lived in Atlanta, where there was a range for people who looked at me who could have a nice lifestyle, and you
Yeah,
didn't have to be an athlete or a movie star. So
yeah,
growing up, and I think that distracted me on this journey that I am on now. So like when I went to college, I really didn't know what I want. So I just picked a major that seemed obscure, but it actually helps me in the long run. My undergrad degree is in the study of world religions. And so it really does
oh
help me with my job
wow,
as a travel journalist now. But as I said before, it took me a while to get to where I am now, because I did other things within under the storytelling umbrella.
yeah.
But we recently unearthed an old VHS tape of my dad always took us on vacation. So I always found it interesting when people talked about the new Black travel movement, because we've always traveled, and people
Yeah.
of color always did travel because
Yes.
we were always seeing family, even if it was just
Yeah.
domestically. So, I always like to say, it's not new, but okay, you can run with it just because you're discovering it now.
Yeah.
But
I guess it's just more what publicized now, right? And so,
yeah,
yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. I mean, like, and I'm an immigrant, and so like we've
yeah,
been traveling.
y'all been traveling, right?
We've
So
been traveling.
but we unearthed some video of us at the Grand Canyon, and I always had this instinct of like, ooh, I'm curious about this thing. I learned about it, and now I want to tell you. So I used to make my sister hold the camera, and I would do
Yeah.
eyewitness news. So little 11-year-old me would have on
Wow.
camera doing that. So it's like one of those like full circle moments, like I was meant to do
Yeah.
this kind of
Yeah.
situation.
That is
Mhm.
so neat. That is super neat. I think that's really dope that you have like video footage. Like we don't we have photos, but we had like we were so poor we had like no there was no video recordings of anything. So I think that's really dope that your dad had, that piece of you that you can now look back as an adult and be like, oh my gosh, this is definitely was what my path was. So how did you transition from being, from doing world religion to the space that well, really to the sports world, right? Because that was your initial start in journalism.
Yeah, so I started when I did that degree, I just really didn't like doing, this was always my personality. I never liked doing what everybody else did.
Yeah.
And so everybody who really didn't know what they wanted to do would take a sociology degree or political science degree. And I was like, oh my God. And I took some of those classes, and I was like, oh my God, I just not want to be in these classes. So I remember, so this is how old I am. I'm this old where we used to look up our classes in a book at university. So I went to the back of the book, and I'm like, oh, what is this tiny little degree
Yeah.
that was here? And that's the reason why I picked that degree. And so when I realized that I wanted to work in television as a reporter, it was past, I didn't do that in university, which is interesting because I went to UCLA, and I could have,
Same.
took advantage of great internships right there in
Yeah. What do you
Hollywood.
don't
But
think?
I
Yeah.
work, I let those things go, because your journey is your journey. And that
Yes.
is something that we all should like stay laser focused and
Yes.
accept, and not get distracted about like, this person started back here and they're now here. Like really put all of your energy in your journey. But
Yeah.
so when I finally realized that, and I believe it or not, was an introvert, and I think it was like the extroverted introvert. So like when the camera's on, I'm like, let's go,
Showtime.
yeah, let's go. But like most of the time I was shy, and having I don't accept that anymore. I think I've pushed that behavior so out of myself. But even like, you know, face-to-face confrontations with people or interactions, I would just be like, I'd rather not do it. So surprisingly enough, I was able to, you know, muster enough, be brave enough way back then, you know, like 19 or no, like I think there was like 21 or 22-year-old myself. And I got myself an internship, and I took several internships, and this is when internships were unpaid. But I took several
I grew up in that era too. Like, what's the paycheck?
and get my foot in the door, and then I would talk to people, and had a couple mentors along the way who would kind of keep, you know, encouraging me to say, keep going, you know, and they said it's like a club. And this is a message to people who are interested in transitioning TV. It is like a club. It's hard to get in, but once your foot's in, then you can navigate within that club. And that's what I always encourage anybody when I talk to a lot of young people along the way. College students and whatever, and I'm like, take advantage of those internships. If you are in the building, you have a badge to swipe, network, because you're cleared. The security lets you come in the building. And that is, you know, I remember in college they always used to say network is the key, but they never told you how. And that's also one of the things that we are going to be, that's slated for our academy, is to like, specifically, I have a friend, she is a ESPN reporter, and she's a master networker. And I'm like, people always say to network, but they never tell you tell me exactly what I need to do. Like A, B, like from like hand the paper to the person. Like this is the love for the introverts. It's for the introverts. Like, they want to be successful, but they like, we go to the networking event and then we're like standing in the corner, like, okay, what am I supposed to do? You know? So,
So I really, I can really relate. I keep trying not to say That's like a thing of mine right now. I'm like, oh, where's the rubber band so I can stop saying But I can really relate to you growing up on the shyer side and then transitioning to where you're now confident in who you are, to the point where you're like, hey, look, I own the room. This is who I am. Boom, you know, boom, pow. And then the second point that you really hit on that I love is the fact that, like, you said you had to learn how to be this extrovert, right?
Yeah.
How do you think that has impacted your life?
So,
overall?
I mean, it's been challenging, because there would be like, I would like, let's say, sign up to do something, or like, you know, get accepted to do some sort of audition. And then leading up to it, I'm like, what kind of crazy space did I put myself into? Like all the nerves and all the butterflies, and you like could be suffocating. And I'm like, what? Why do you have the audacity to think that you're not the one? Like what? And then somehow I pushed past that, and I think I have enough muscle memory now to, like, if that stuff starts to bubble up, I know what to do. I have a skill set and a tool set internally. Don't ask me to like do an ABC. I haven't like been able to break that part down yet, but I've been able to do it enough to where it doesn't restrict me or cause me to fail or blow an opportunity. I know how to just get into the zone. But truthfully, because it's been my job, like, I'm gonna age myself, people, like when I used to talk on, you know, you get the black girl thing going on with our face looking baby face, but I remember going to colleges and talking, and I would just drop off little things like I've been doing this for 20 years, and you see most of them get over, like it goes over the head, but then you see that one person like,
wait, what?
Wait, I thought you were like 3 years older than me. No.
Right.
I'm actually old enough to be your teen mom. So.
Sorry, that's so funny. Not a teen mom. That's hilarious. Okay, so how did you enjoy sports broadcasting? And then how did you transition into traveling? Because I really want to like hit on that, because I think what you do with travel is so dope, and just experiencing life and everything. So how did you enjoy sports? And
so sports, I grew up loving sports, playing sports, and I didn't even realize, I mean, imagine if I was at college and I realized that could be a job, but it all worked out. It all worked out.
Yeah.
So and I actually, I mean, you probably aren't familiar with the show, and it's off the air, but there was a show called The Best Damn Sports Show, period. And I remember watching it, and this is like, I'm out of college, like a few months out of college. I'm watching the show. I'm like, what am I gonna do with my whole life?
Yeah.
I think I want to do
life.
something like in TV.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I see they have it was like a sports talk show, and it was like guys sitting on a couch talking sports.
Yeah.
And then,
oh, look, Brittany says she remembers the show. So you got
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yes, and then then there was when they went and cut to do like sports updates and stuff, it was this beautiful woman, Lisa Guerrero, and she was beautiful, but also she knew her stuff. And I said,
Yeah.
that's what I want to be. So like there was also a full circle moment with her later on in my career, because I did pretty well in my career in sports, like, and I said that story on some other interview, and then she heard it and she was like, oh my God, I'm so flat, like so
That's
flat.
so dope.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of those full circle moments where somebody inspired me, and then I was able to meet them or like sit on the same panel as them. That happened to me and Samantha Brown, Samantha Brown from Travel Channel. She had all of those shows all of those years. So those are really kind of, I know someone's like, come on, Edges, and yeah, you're really like, she's ready for her spinning conversation.
It's happy hour. No, this is just what I've looked like all day.
Oh, well, okay, excuse me. I don't. I'm always so if we skip forward to the travel, I have since locked the hair.
Oh, so those are locks? I didn't know your hair was in locks. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, and they're so long too. Wow. So, can I ask you, why did you transition? I know we're gonna get to travel.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm getting to. You said you're always like that. Like, I'm actually, like, I don't want to make anybody mad, but I'm on a work trip, and I'm always jumping into oceans and climbing rocks and stuff. And I never do my nails, because what's the point?
Yeah, facts.
And no, I don't know. Yeah, I could do a flip here.
Are you gonna show us the outfit? Wow. OMGs. I can smell the ocean. It smells clean, but I smell the trees, the palm trees. That is
Are we gonna
beautiful.
take a Zen moment?
Like, I'm like, wait a minute. I feel calm. Yes, that is so gorgeous. Yeah, Rama said yes, locks. Okay.
Yeah.
Brittany is like, OMGs, beautiful scenery. That, like, what a life. Yeah. So what got you into travel?
So after sports, I was looking to do something a little more or different, and I had an agent who presented me an opportunity to start a lifestyle show. NBC was starting a new lifestyle show.
Okay.
In Charlotte, and so my agent was like, this isn't sports, but I think it's something that you'd be good at doing and you'd like to do. And so I did that. I went and did that for 4 years, and that's when I discovered that you can get paid. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with those talk shows. Every city has them. What city are you in? I could probably name which show it is.
So I'm in Atlanta. So when you said Atlanta,
oh yeah, so like I don't. Yeah, it's kind of like Atlanta and Company, but I think ours was better because we'll get into why it's different. But do you remember when they had Atlanta Plugged In? But anyways, every
I don't want
has one of those lifestyle shows where somebody comes, one of those. So we did that. I did that. I got to start it, and then I did it for 4 years, and I was ready to move on to something else.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And did sports at the local CBS station.
Okay.
And then, but I didn't really want to. It was just somebody that I had worked with at CNN was like, hey, I heard you're back in town. There's this thing. Come talk to my boss. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I don't really want to do it. And he was like, just talk to my boss. And then this is a little side story, but it was one of those things when you really don't want the job, so you're just kind of just like nonchalant, but people love that kind of stuff. Like people love that energy. Like they love that. Like I can take, like you sit in the chair like this, I can take it, and like I don't know what you guys are doing over here. They're just like, wow. Well, and then they lean in. They're like, well, what would you do then? Like, how would you change it? And then I was, next thing you know, there was like an off. And I tell you, on my first day, I wanted to quit. And by the end of the week, I'm calling my boyfriend at the time. I'm calling my best friend, like, how do we get out of my contract? And I got, that's a whole different story.
Why did you want to quit? Like, what was it
I didn't
about?
want to do, so when I moved back to Atlanta, I was intending to start my production company.
Okay.
So that derailed me from the energy and the space I was already in anyways. But I just, there was a time where I wanted that job. Younger Dayvee wanted that job. So this is another crossroads situation that probably happens in people's life. Like, you wanted something at one point, and then when you get to this point and it's there, do you take it, or are you beyond that? And I was beyond that, but I took it. And it was the first time, like, not the first time, but I had been old enough to where I was like on it with listening to my gut. Like, my gut says turn left, and I turned left, and then I was spared from some tragedy over at the right. So I was disappointed that my gut was screaming like, this isn't for you, girl. And I did it because younger me, this was a dream job. And I was miserable the whole time. And I had my agent get me out of my contract. And so it was just the explanation point. Like, your spirit knows you, and you need to just listen, you know?
So, oh my God. That is legitimately, I think, you get to a point in life, like you're just saying, like, when you have attained so much, right? But then you've also grown into this phenomenal person that you're loving more than the childhood version of yourself. And then you're like, wait, but so for me, it was in college. My parents wanted, I'm West African. I've said this before. In the African household, it's doctor, lawyer, engineer. You're a failure.
I have many friends who are first generation, and the pressure is all the way real.
It's too real. It's immense. And so I was like, I wanted to go to law school. And my senior year of college, I was like studying for LSAT. I went to my mom's job with her, and she was like showing me off. And, this is my daughter. She is going to be the lawyer. This is the lawyer. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, no, that was child Nancy trying to live out some dream. And I was like, I'm not going to law school. I was not cut off.
You outed her and her friend. You could have did that in a private conversation at home.
No. I didn't do it in front of her friend. I kind of looked at her, and then later on, I was like, yo, I'm not
update. Here's an update on my life.
Update on my life, guys. Anyways, okay, so you ended up getting out your contract, which is so dope. And then did you?
And so it was interesting. This is a story of like a Black woman having to do this as opposed to if I was a white woman, because at this point in time I had 2 national Emmy awards. I had a reputation in the industry, but I had to start over and kind of prove myself in this new space that I was trying to be in. And we all know if I was more blondiful, as what my friend says, I wasn't blondiful enough.
Oh my God.
But
if I was to write this down, blondiful.
If I was more blondiful, we've seen it over and over. Like, oh, you want to do this now? Go do it.
Yeah.
I need to go do it. So, but there was no time to just like cry about that. I just had to create a space for myself. And ever since I've been creating a space for myself, but it wasn't something I had to learn or knew.
Yeah.
or new to me, because at the beginning of my journey, remember, I didn't study this in college, so I had to create a space for myself in the industry at the
Yeah.
beginning. And
Yep.
that at the beginning, since I didn't go to college for it, I
Mm-hmm.
had to, when I got the internships, I had to learn, oh, I need to make a demo tape for myself. I would go out and take the camera by myself and practice stories. And I wanted to do sports, so I would buy a ticket to a Braves game,
Yeah.
study it, and then go
Yeah.
outside. Introverted me, and
Yeah.
put the camera by myself and, sweat it out and,
Yeah.
freak out that people
Yeah.
are watching, and then just try to get through, like, all of that work, right? I did
Yeah.
years before. So when I
Yeah.
made the pivot, I was like, no one. Okay, well, let me make this space for myself. So over the
Again.
years,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because when I finally got I've had several agents and several managers, because a
Yeah.
lot of them, like, just kind of more inside baseball, inside TV industry stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get you one, like, news job and then be done with it. And I never again want to work full time for a news organization, because I have my own company. So
Yes.
that's more work. So
Yes.
it took several, agents and managers, and now I have one manager that I work with, and he's just like, I can't believe you did all of this by yourself. Okay, so now
Wow.
we're taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
With my help, is what he said. But
Yeah.
but that's just a Black woman's story having to do it. It's not. Did I want
Yeah.
to? No, I didn't want to,
No.
but that's the only way that was going to get done.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so dope that you were able to just like really push through that and just get it done and to have that perseverance about yourself. Because a lot of us do quit because you're tired,
It's
right?
tiring, and there's no fault or judgment when
Right.
whoever decides it's not. But a lot of times when I'm talking to younger people who want some sort of career in television, even like a traditional news job, and it takes a long time to get that that first foot in the door, that first
Yep.
gig,
Yep.
I tell them the conversation I had to have with myself. You stop and you're like, can you live your life without doing this? And if it's no,
Yeah.
you cannot live your life without doing it, then you have no choice but to just take a deep breath and roll up the
Yeah.
sleeves and
Yeah.
keep figuring it out. And sometimes it might just be like, you know what, I can't do anything more today. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
a nap. I'm done
Yeah.
for today. And
Take
then
a nap, girl.
but taking that, and then your spirit, if it's in you, if it's part of your spirit, it won't let you quit anyway. So you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning and you have a new idea, a
Yeah.
strategy, a new
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've definitely been there, and I'm glad that I love those words that you're able to share with everyone that's watching now and that's going to tune in. So with your travel, I mean, obviously you're somewhere phenomenal right now. So
Oh
I'd
my
love to know,
God.
like, what are some of what's like the craziest place? I saw you have a reel or a video that I watched, and you were like in a tundra or something. Like it was like 2 degrees. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm always somewhere. I'm like, where was I? Where it was cold. It might have been Canada. That's
Yeah, I
cold.
think it was. I know you said you mentioned Canada, but like, so like, how do you pick these places to go to? Is it just like, okay, let's go check out this crazy place? You throw a dart at the map. Like, how do you?
I actually want to do I actually want to do where I just show up at the airport and ask them for a ticket somewhere.
That'd be
I
so
do.
cool. Yeah.
But I'm a little insane in that way, because I was
Yeah.
telling somebody today that about the one time that they were telling me how they want to go to Greece, but they
Yeah.
don't want to go by themselves. They want to go with a local or whatever. And I was like, oh, I went to Greece by myself, and everything
So
was
dope.
in Greek. and I remember got there, I was like, oh shoot, this is how am I gonna do this? Like it's literally in Greek. Everything is literally in Greek. Okay, this is a little ambitious. This is
Right.
a little
Right.
ambitious.
Right.
But I made it happen, and I had a great time by myself. And I made, there was enough
So dope.
people who no, and it's crazy because not every country speaks English,
Yeah.
and if they do, like, I mean, Yeah, there was I made it happen. I'm here, so I survived. But how it works now, so most of my travel is for work, and I have
Yeah.
different, with my production company, we have different teams doing different projects. So I have
Okay.
an ongoing show, and then I
Okay.
also have like client stuff that we shoot for. So it's, my schedule is like booked within
Everywhere.
those kind of, yeah, with those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I do take a leisure and more relaxed trip, and
Yeah.
every once in a while I do have an opportunity for a more relaxed work trip. This
Yeah.
one now is a more relaxed work trip because I'm working with the hotel brand, and part of
So
that
dope.
is to experience the property. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's how it works for
So
me.
dope.
But when you're getting started, if somebody is watching and they're interested in travel, I would say, if you know, I think the popular vibe right now is that to travel the world, people, hi Germany.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my goodness, hello. I think the popular idea is that you have to be a content creator, and there are much easier ways to travel than to create content. I
Can we
mean,
give some secrets? Just give
yeah,
us
I mean,
one little.
there's tons of jobs. So I have friends. So like, it just depends on your lifestyle and what you want to do. So like, you can be an entrepreneur. I was talking to
Uh-huh.
a young man who is within 2 years grew his digital. He covers food,
Yeah.
and it's really niche for
Yeah.
his market in San Diego. So
Okay.
niche, you know, the riches are in the niches, right? But
Yeah.
he wants
Riches
to
are delicious.
travel. And
Yeah.
he was like, oh, so he was like, I think I have a plan where I want to, like, you know, do this city, what we do in our city, in this city, in this city. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's a good idea. And I was like,
Yeah.
but when you're mapping out your business plan, you probably want to think, is the goal to travel, or is the
Mm.
goal to work more, like to build the empire and work more? Because you can have an
Yeah.
empire, like he said, his own father, who was pretty successful and was able to build a business and sell it at 30. So he has like a good role model of like,
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's
his
so
dad
dope.
retired at 30, and
Wow.
was under this influence, right? And so he said his own father was like, do you want to be the king of San Diego, big fish in small pond, or do
Yeah.
you want to be small fish in the big pond? And
Yeah.
and I was like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, and then I proposed that question to him, because I was like, because you can be the big fish in the small pond, so rich, and travel everywhere you want. And when you travel everywhere you want, you're not working. You're on vacation. Because you're rich.
You got all the money.
Yeah.
My earphones just completely went blank. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. You're fine. So
Okay,
like,
cool.
so that's what I'm saying. Like the heart, like the popular idea of like being able to travel the world is, and what we see online on social media is like, okay, great. I want to do all the things these people are doing. They look fabulous in Tulum, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
with their white. And
With their
so now
voice.
so now I need to create a blog, or I need to do reels, and I need
Right.
to pose like this,
Right.
right? So I think that's a harder, like, and I
Yeah.
totally understand like that you're like, I can do that too, because I'm
Yeah.
just as cute as her, and but except for I have longer legs, or whatever the conversation you have with yourself.
Yeah.
But then if that's going to make you travel, then you're going to work every, you know, that's one way, and there's many
Yeah.
ways. Like I have a friend who spent her career, she turned 50 years old and just now became a flight attendant for fun, because she gets to
Wow.
travel the world for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different ways to
I
do it.
love that.
So
I love that.
this is when you ask the question, like, okay, and that's when I do my segments on television, it's always from an approach. It's never from an elitist approach of like, you can't do this. It's from the approach that everybody wants to travel. Everybody.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes.
Right? So everyone likes to travel if they can. There might be like, let's just do 99%, because there's always going to be that one person who's like, no, I just like to be at home. I just don't want to see the ocean. I like to be in the city. Right? Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, you always have to give the wiggle room for people on the internet that just don't make sense. But with the overwhelming amount of us wanting to be at beaches and putting our feet in the sand or taking a break from working.
Yes.
You just got to figure out your strategy to get there. And a strategy, you might have a genius in science, or you might have a genius in doing hair, and you just carve out the life that will allow you to do that. And I would argue that it would be much more fantastic to travel the world and not to work, instead of traveling the world and having the pressure of like, can you hold this camera for me? Because I have to change into this yellow dress so that I can get up the temple and pose in the same way that everybody else has posed. Thank you. Can you move from this public place that everybody has the right to do? Never mind. I'm just going to erase you out of the picture when I'm done. I'm just having a lot of fun because I do have friends who are influencers, and so I'm just teasing. And they do, and they have a fun job, but it is a job, and it's and as an entrepreneur, you work all the time with your job. And if you want travel to be your job, then that's one way. I have friends who work for the State Department at U.S. embassies all around the world.
Yeah. And I
have a friend who lives in Paris. She lives in Paris, in the middle of Paris, with 3 bedrooms that the U.S. government pays for.
Wow.
Because she works for the State Department. There are ways to carve out this lifestyle, or you just have to ultimately think about what you want to do. Now, circle back. If you are like, for me, I'm obsessed with storytelling, and we talked about, like, as a kid, I always wanted to see something and tell you about it, and I still like that to this day, to where I have a lot of information, and sometimes I have to be like, stop telling people like you're just like a little know-it-all. Stop just saying all this information. But people like, and sometimes I'll back down. They're like, no, tell me more. But so that is a part of me too. I don't think if I didn't have this job, that I still wouldn't somehow say, oh, this is cool, now I need to tell you about it.
Yeah. It's just part of who you are. So really what you're saying is, hey, whatever you want to do, plan for it, and make sure that it's like part of what your energy is, right?
Yeah.
Rama had said, she was like, the people with the energy of they don't want to travel, so let them stay in their house. Like, totally.
Exactly. Like, they can stay at home.
So funny.
Well, that's funny. We'll have to connect. We're gonna have to get some real sips since you're in Atlanta when I come home. Because the other day, so I was living last year mostly in Mexico, and then I spent some time in Paris.
Oh my gosh!
It's interesting because those outdoor places, you don't have your mask, but everybody seemed to comply when you're indoors. And let me tell you about the culture shock when I came home and went to BJ's and everybody didn't have their masks on. And the employees had half had their mask. Like, they had it right here. Like, they barely had it on. And so I went the other day to on the last day to see the Obama portrait store. And this is how I just handle these people. This reminds me of the comment of, like, they could stay in their house. So we were in line, and I saw these white people without their masks, and I said, oh, let me just they can have their freedoms. Y'all can be free and put my mask on. Like, y'all can have your constitutional rights. Let me just go get my mask. Like, nobody has time to fight with them, nor do people have time to fight with people who want to stay in their house. They could just stay in y'all's house and keep scrolling, right? Like,
keep being miserable on Instagram, annoyed that everybody's living a good old life, and you're like, I don't want to travel. Okay.
Well, then scroll. Here we are traveling, so y'all, you could just scroll. There's like option. When this is not homework, you're not confined to do it. Like,
that's
how I feel about every troll, like, in the comments. I'm like, why are you even here? Like, why are you spending time, like, disgracing somebody, or trying to take them down when
that
you
crap.
Scroll.
Just go away.
Go away.
Go away. Okay, poof, be gone. I rebuke you. As we said, I rebuke you.
Oh, you went down to the poof, be gone. Oh my goodness, that's a throwback. I remember that. Poof, be gone.
Poof, be gone.
It's valid though. You need to bring it all the way back because that's valid.
I'm bringing it back, y'all. I'm bringing it back. Okay, so with your production company, what do you do there? I think that's so dope. So my sister is like very up the arts, and she's actually about to go to Portugal. Oh wait, hopefully. Oh my gosh, let me
You're
not
allowed
say
to
that.
say that.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh my God. Oh crap. On vacation, potentially, she was looking into that.
Possibly
And
somewhere in the Southern Europe area or something.
yeah, she was looking at a vacation type situation, and she's like, "Well, do I go myself?" But I know, like last year, she was trying to go to Mexico on her own, and my parents were like, "Absolutely not. Okay, the gangs are not going to kill you."
Oh.
So like, so how now you travel with your team?
Well, I did when I lived in those places, I went by myself.
Wow, that is so dope.
Yeah, and so that is an interesting thing. In that is with the gangs in Mexico because I'm trying to see what road I'm gonna go down, but I'll just go back to like solo travel because I can see people having trepidation about that.
Yeah.
But then I get messaged and have had many conversations over the years with people saying like, of course I'm nervous, but I do want to try it. So I always like to start with like, you actually spend a lot of time doing things by yourself every single day. Do you realize that? You go to work, this is when we went to work to places and you go to work by yourself.
Yeah.
You likely eat lunch by yourself. The way that the man has everything, you probably eat at your desk by yourself or in the room. Or if you're like, no, I'm gonna go to Chipotle, you go to the Chipotle by yourself and sit at the table by yourself. True. So you do a lot of things by yourself, and you probably can carry yourself to the airport by yourself. True. How you handle, and this is how I've always met like my first friends when going to a place. Like when I went to Paris, I didn't know anybody, and when I came to Mexico, I didn't know anybody, and now I have a whole community of friends who live here. And you start off with, I always start off with, well, now the world has even changed, but before, my advice would be like, join a group tour. So like a city tour, and a city tour, you will be with strangers, but you also will have a guide. Mm-hmm. And it's fine because you will be with people and you will know what to do and where to go because you're going in your group tour, like a walking tour, a simple walking tour. Yeah. Around the town. Now you've seen this place that you have in a safe environment. And then you also will take tours or experiences or excursions according to your taste. So I'm the adventurer. I'm like to climb and scratch and do all these like I always have a random scratch or something because I was climbing a rock or in a cave or something like that. So I'm looking for those experiences. But if you're like, no, I want to go to Italy for the food, then you would take a food tour. You can do a food tour. You can do a cooking class and have the best time. Good one. Yeah, do experiences. So what I mean about how the world has changed even more is I'm not giving like a specific shout out, but I often use Airbnb experiences because they have unique experiences and they're led by locals. So I've all the time, like I would say the past 5 times I've met my first friends in the destination. At Paris, I took a Black Paris tour. And there was a woman who was by herself and she was from DC and she came to town to run a race. Because some people travel to like do their sport. Like that's the way they get to travel the world is they find marathons around the world. Just throwing out ideas. There's like, find your niche and there's a way to incorporate travel or, your hobby. And so she was like, hey, my friends, I'm staying with my friend who just came here and started working for the embassy. And then we became friends and we went out a couple times. So that's how I built I always start off. But now they have WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups. So when I go to a new place that I know, I join those I look for, you can niche down, but I look for Black expats in Paris. They didn't have that. They had yeah, I was looking for Black Americans. And
Yeah.
in Paris, in Mexico, they had that. But in Paris, they just had Black. So there was a lot Africans, which was a different, well, it was a different vibe because, of course, they had more Africans because it's closer. But they were expats as Africans of Black Americans.
Yeah.
Which would have different sensibilities of like, how do I navigate this place? So that's the only distinction I'm making. But then I joined a general American expats in Paris, and they had, hey, we're all gonna meet for like yoga at Sacré-Cœur. And so then you can go by yourself, and you know that you're going to meet a group of people who speak the same language as you. So there's these groups for every language, every culture on Facebook. You join them, you troll, you lurk, and you're like, okay, you kind of see the vibe, like, okay, all right, they're like me. This is somebody who came out on their own. And even visitors came and would do it. Hey, I'm coming to Playa del Carmen from April 15th through the 25th. Love to hook up or meet. And then also those groups have like, here's a social event we're doing. We're going to throw a party here. I celebrated Juneteenth last year in Mexico.
What?
And everybody at the Juneteenth party was a Black American who lived in Mexico.
Wow.
So there are ways to travel by yourself and then not feel alone. But the most basic way is you're used to being on your own. So you can take your big girl pants and get to the airport.
You're right.
You can get to the airport. You can get on the plane by yourself. You probably want to be on yourself. Nobody wants to talk on the airplane anyways. You just want to go to sleep and watch your movie or do whatever. And then when you get off, that might be the most nervous time because some international airports, and like probably
with English.
Right. Or just like, it's just, some people are aggressive, like, no, you need help. You look like you're new, that you need, like, you don't want that. And that's probably the most stressful part, but you just have a plan for that. Like in Greece, I researched that and everybody said, do not get a cab. The bus literally just goes straight down and you get off. And so I was so nervous, but I took the bus in Greece off the airplane and it went straight down. And then it was all in Greek. So I just kind of like sitting next to people, all these strangers. And I was like, I need to get off at this. Oh, I think I told the bus driver and then he forgot. And then somebody heard me and they were like, Matt, get off now. Get off now. I'm like, drag my bags and I get up. Yes, travel is unmatched. Solo travel is unmatched. And I think you grow up and you learn and you become braver and smarter. I think you do things. Okay, we talked about my shy, introverted self. But you're forced not to be so shy because you got to protect. You can't hide behind a travel companion to do all the work, right? You have to find the map and your place, and you have to be on guard where your stuff is. And I also, and the other thing that I always kind of tell people about solo travel is like, how would you handle yourself in New York City? You're not going down.
I'm not going.
You're not going down dark alleys at night. You're not drinking at bars and then drive, And so some people, when they go on vacation, when you hear like horror stories, they're like, oh yes, I'm in Cancun. And so what's this dark alley down? I'm going to get into this random black car, or you know what? I'm going to get naked, wasted, drunk at night. And then I'm just going to get and then you hear of an awful story about, like a sexual assault. Well, and they were by themselves or whatever. So however you would handle yourself and I always use New York City because this is a busy hustle and bustle city that you can navigate, but you have to have kind of like your guard up, but you can still have fun. That's how you solo travel. Whatever energy you have when you're in New York City, you could take that around the world and be okay.
If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Legit.
Did I just say that? I think I just said that. Okay, that's right.
Like, legit. Okay, that's so dope. All right, so I want to hear a little bit about your course and like, why did you start a course to show people how to become, I don't want to say you, but like to live a life that they actually want and to be an expert and to be recognized as one and paid as one. And Maybe
Yeah.
no production
So,
company
because
would hire
y'all
you.
keep asking me every day. I'm just kidding.
Right.
No. So I have a couple of influencer friends who sometimes they get asked to with a brand to like do some front facing spokesperson stuff, and then I also work in I still currently work in a newsroom, and I always hear the conversations of every day they need guests to, if it's a news story, to fill the story and give it context to
Yeah.
a story. Like
Yeah.
they need an expert. Like if
Yeah.
if I'm assigned like a medical story of, I mean, the most easy one is like COVID-19, but it's like a really something medical story. Okay, now I need somebody to give it context, an expert. And then this is what happens anybody know a doctor, or you go into, but I need a doctor who focuses on sleep. I need sleep. It's sleep, or you have, you ask around your email, or you already have your own resources. So this is why we started that, and then it's just kind of just to demystify the whole idea of what it takes, because every day there is that conversation.
Yeah.
See, my friend Drea, she also works. Hi, Drea. Thanks for chiming in. She's like so accurate. So accurate. She's been in the news industry a long, long time as well. I'm not going to give away her secrets or her age, and this is just what happens. So we just started doing this. We're going around and we're just having these conversations, and then people who are curious or interested in more are going to give some resources. We started the TV guest expert group, and this is just the first path. There's going to be other course tracks, and actually a few years ago I wrote a book that I had never published for new TV reporters, called On Air Perfect, because when you start off you don't make a lot of money, but you still are expected to look like a TV person. So how do you afford your makeup and your clothes when you're making nothing? So I kind of wrote down all the resources that I use, and I just never published the book. So that's going to be another kind of course track that we're going to feed out. But right now we're just going to kind of demystify what it takes to be a TV guest, and then give tips and tricks, and even connect people. Like, I have a couple of my producer friends ready to kind of chime in at different times and say, here's how you get on our show, which is super valuable, right? Like to have access to understanding, demystifying what happens in news and understanding what happens in a newsroom, and again, relationships, right? Like we go back to that networking, and relationships is really the key to life, right? So if you can master that skill set, and I think I alluded to, I'm gonna have one of my friends who's a brilliant networker do one, like a little mini course on like how she can network with the best of them, and not only network, but make people fall in love, or make people say like, how have I not known you before, and then the same thing that some of the things I will teach is like, by the time TV producers discover you, they would be like, how did we not know about you before? Like they feel like an urgency, like we need to get you on our show. Like, no, don't go anywhere, you're going to be on our show. Like that kind of, you want that energy, like of course I'm supposed to be on your show. That kind of stuff.
You're gonna be like this.
And that's a good feeling. And there's a strategy to do it, and it's not necessarily like an easy path, but like we talked about, but once you get your foot in the door and you have some understanding of how it works, at least you have a strategy to make it happen, instead of just like wasting money on maybe hiring a publicist. And not that a publicist might not serve you in the future, but if you have an understanding of how it works, then you will know if that's a good investment for you at a particular time or not.
I love it. I'm so here for it, and I'm probably gonna sign up. I feel like you have been probably one of the most selfish guests that I've had, because there's just so much, right, to be able to learn from someone like you who has just transitioned from being the shy kid, which I just learned of today, to now you're teaching people, you're like people that look like you and others, right? Especially because like Black women, we've got so much to offer, but a lot of times we don't have that resource that's willing to just say, hey girl, this is how you do it.
Yeah, like my friend Andrea, she's like, the key to networking is also building authentic relationships and not making it transactional, which I think a lot of people don't know how to do. Like, I think we talked about it, it's just an awkward thing, but people always say, go do it. Okay, best, the answers to everything is networking. Bye, go do it,
And no one says like, what is networking? So I'm just super excited. So what's in a couple years, right? I want to push you. I hate saying in 5 years because that's like I'm a Sagittarius and I don't live my life that way. I don't live my life 5 years at a time. So I'm like in like a year or like 6 months, like what do you see yourself going, your production company going, your courses going? Like where do you see yourself?
Yeah. So I'm glad that you asked that because I had I don't know, like an expansion moment a few weeks ago where I was like, oh, I was playing it too small. So I had this vision. And a lot of times when I talk to younger people about like their dreams and their goals, I do talk about it like evolving and not being afraid to like, you have this one dream, but it can expand or change and or pivot and not being afraid. But I always imagined it doing one particular thing, the thing that it's been doing. But I had this whole vision of this big production company where we have departments and I have a building and we have floors. So yes, like, I mean, I don't want to reveal all the departments, but we kind of laid out a good foundation of how it can grow on our production company's website. And I'm really excited about where it will go. So it's like so the simple answer is that it will be a major force, and my production company is called Dream Network Media, where we have like different departments. Like we already have different departments working on different things at different times, but like to the scale of what I kind of envisioned, like I saw it, like it's not even like a whole manifesting thing. It was like, no, I saw it. I was driving and I saw it. I was like, oh my God. Like, I can't even believe, like, this is crazy. And I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. So. I can't wait to. Now, are you, do you guys have a page here on Instagram, or how do we kind of keep up with Dream Network?
The website, dreamnetworkmedia.com.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
.com.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited just to kind of see you grow and just watch you, just because you're gonna do it, right? Like you are the shy kid.
Exactly.
And look at you now. Like you're this huge personality. And I feel like I've known you for forever.
I know. I feel
like
how have I not known you? I'm gonna bring Drea. Thank you for pinning that. I'm gonna bring Drea. We're all, since she's in here with the chat, we're gonna go and have real sips in person since you're
yes. No, hands down. Well, I'm not going to keep you. I want you to go and enjoy a little bit more of your amazing sunshine.
We have the sun setting.
So can we see?
We're going to end on that note. Okay, you guys. Okay.
Oh my God.
I think it's behind the building, but
wow.
I thank you so much, Nancy, for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. And I look forward to catching some sips, okay, when you get back. All right.
Okay.
Y'all have a great one. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.